All right, welcome to the Keepa training. This is a training to teach you how to use the extension so that when you're making a buying decision for our company, you can cross your T's and dot your I's. Very simple as that, right? We're going to start from left to right and work our way down. You're going to be able to understand by the end of this video, you'll understand what this column is, this column, this column, this column, and you'll understand what all of these are. Moving forward, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. But by the end of this video, what I recommend is you watch this video consistently or when you have questions for help. So starting right here, you have the price history. This column displays the buy box, the new price point, third-party seller's price point, FBM price point, lightning deals, if you're familiar with lightning deals, buy box used prices, warehouse deals, list price, eBay prices. This column here displays the sales rank, or let's just say the category sales rank. This column here displays rating and sellers and multiple other things. You then can look at the date range from day, week, month, 3 months, a year, and all time that it's been recorded. So starting from here, we're at the price history. We're going to go to track product. Track product allows you to track products throughout a 1 year or less time frame. Let's say we're a seasonal business and we're looking for items that drop prices on a specific time and we want to buy those products out. You can enter the information on this column here, add notes and tags. When you do that and you go through all of this other criteria, you can hit start tracking and it will track that particular product. Once it hits your threshold or your desired price, it is going to notify you in an email. If you ever want to track products to see if they go on a higher price, same concept. Or if you just want to track a product in general, same thing. You can enter all of that information you need, start tracking, and there's a multitude of things that you can do to become a successful seller using this tool. However, we don't use this tool very often, if ever. You then have data. Data is a very important tool when sourcing or making a buying decision for the company. Data will pull up product details, it will pull up offers, buy box statistics, and this one you can basically skip because we only sell new items. The product details really explains everything about this product. You have title, sales rank reference, display group, how many times it's sold in a month, the review count. The review count, well, that's the rating, and then count. The last day the price changed was 1 day ago. Who the buy box seller is the buy box FBA or FBM, who's the lowest FBA seller, pick and pack fees, referral fees, who's the lowest FBM seller, buy box to use seller, total count offer, last time it was listed, tracking since, categories. You can go to ASIN and it has way more other information. Let's go ahead and tell you a little bit about this because I just saw this. So parent ASIN, when you are creating a listing on Amazon, is the parent ASIN for this product. You'll only see a parent ASIN when there are variation items. So these variation items, which is one of the items we're looking at, is one of these ASINs. It happens to be the ZGD, which is this one here. You then have this other ASIN, which is a variation of this ASIN, and then it also displays what was frequently bought together with these ASINs, okay? So the parent ASIN, one last time, is the parent ASIN to the two child ASINs. The parent ASIN will only display when there's a variation. You will not be able to necessarily locate the item using that ASIN, but you want to use the proper ASIN to identify the proper item, right? And what I mean by proper is identify that single ASIN. So you'll copy this ASIN or that ASIN depending on what you're looking at, paste it into Amazon, whether it's through the consumer site or the seller site, and you'll be able to go directly to that listing of that variation. Okay, you have the manufacturer's information, the brand store information, you have total weights, styles, etc. If they have any videos, product dimensions, etc. Over here, you have the current and average selling price, sales rank, sales buy box, etc. This stuff you can look at if you feel like it. You don't necessarily need to look at that, but you can see what these items sold for at any given point for those particular things, whether they were used, buy box, new, buy box used, lowest price. We don't use this very often. It's not necessary because all the information is basically in the price history and then the data. The next one is offers. Offers shows you who are offering this product to the consumers, or in another sense, who's selling this product at this current moment. So looking here, you can configure your columns, export this information. You can range it from 7 days to 30 days to 90 days to 180, 365 and all. What we look at majority of the time is 90, but you're going to be using the 180 and 365 and all whenever you're making a decision, whether you're looking for intellectual property complaints, trademark complaints, deactivations of sellers' accounts, and other things, right? So now we have, since we have that on a 90-day, you can select Prime, free shipping if you're looking specifically to niche down or filter things out, but we don't need to filter anything out here. For condition, you always want to have like or new and used. You can remove used, it doesn't really matter, but you can keep it there. And another important part is to include historical offers, okay? Because then you can see that it added other offers that had been on this listing at any given moment, 43 months ago, 1 month ago, 11 days ago, whatever it may be, okay? Show potential scam offers, we don't need that. And so this right here, this particular column, what I use this for with making a buying decision is to see if the item is actually selling. If the item is selling, you can look at this first column here and see that this stock history drops, okay? You can see price history right here. So there's really two things I look at here, and you'll look at everything, but let's start from left. So this item is sold prime at $89.95. It's in new condition. The price history is hovered at $89.95. They have 305 in stock. They've sold 743 in their lifetime of selling this product. In the last 30 days, they sold 159 units. You can see their inventory stock, when it started, if it ever started. And that's just for 90 days. Remember, if you type in 180 days or 365, you can see their history. We're going to look at 90 days though. They had 454, sold out to 285. Some stock landed in their warehouse and it sold. You can tell that this is a selling item. If you scroll to the right, there's more information here. So you got FBA, that's an FBA seller. Ratings in the last 12 months, 100. Review count lifetime, 400. And then you can see here if there's any current or prime exclusives. Last seen 7 minutes ago, first seen 85 months ago. And any notes or warehouse information, okay? The reason you see the notes here is because this is a used item or it's been returned, and so it looks and functions as if it were new. It may not come in original packaging. This is a note that buyers see whenever they're looking to buy a product, and they can see that information when they're looking at other sellers and they see it right here. So it says used like new, looks and functions as if it were new, and may not come in original packaging. Moderate package damage observed during inspection. Okay, so these buyers will look at that information and make a decision whether they want something to come in the original package or not. So looking here, when I'm looking at this over the last 90 days, I can see that these other sellers might have had an item sold, never had an item, never had an item. This person had stock. Okay, it's the same people. American Toy Specialist, American Toy Specialist. We're not going to worry about that person. All these people, you can't see anything because it was further than 90 days ago. If we go to 365, you can see it looks like this person was hit with an intellectual property complaint back in June 2025 of 12th. And I know this because you can see that their stock goes up and then they vanish. They either got this product from somewhere or got it from the distributor, but was not able to defend their case. So they lost the case and they weren't able to sell these products. And it could be due to multiple things. They were selling at I don't know, it doesn't matter. But that's how you're able to identify an intellectual property complaint, or if the seller just can't sell that product anymore. Going down through here, there's nothing else. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick all, and you can just look at all this. I mean, it's not necessary to look at all unless you're trying to really identify something like an intellectual property complaint. This group right here particularly had that happen. This group is Amazon resale, so it doesn't matter. This group right here, same thing. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. This guy was intellectual property complaint. And you can tell because just looking, let's click all. Zoom in a little more, zoom in a little more, zoom in a little more, a little more, a little more. Okay, so they have stock, it drops, they're selling, they restock, and they get hit with an intellectual property complaint. Just launched, it looks like they might have lost their account, maybe because they were selling fake products. I don't have an answer for you. Same concept here. Looks like these guys got an intellectual property complaint. They had 39 units, gone. That's the same people, that's the seller. That's the seller. So this person was able to sell. From 226 to 12, a little frightening. What I'm thinking happened is he got hit with an intellectual property complaint, and or he got hit with a notice saying he needs to stop selling, cease and desist all products. So he just requested removal of all the products from his account. Okay, so essentially what we're looking at here is the item selling? How many times is it selling per month? Right here. And then if they file intellectual property complaints. We're going to go to buy box statistics. Buy box statistics is good because we want to know how often the buy box is rotating. We know just from looking at this item, because this is like really the only seller, the buy box was in the last 30 days 100% to this person. But if you look at the last 180 days, you can see that this group here was receiving the buy box 2% of the time, probably a little more, but we're just not able to tell right here. This gives me satisfaction knowing that we can sell this product and the buy box will be rotated and it's not dominated. You can look at 365, 1900 days. You can see that it gets rotated. So if you're ever making a decision on whether or not we should buy this item because we don't know if it rotates, this is where you would look. Going to buy box used, not necessary for us, so we don't worry about that. Variations. When you click on this variation, the top one is always the one that sells the most, okay? The one that's below it, it decreases in sales. So from here, we know that this particular listing is selling the most. It sells 200 plus units in a month. This one sells 100 units in a month. And you can always verify that by opening this on another page and checking the information that I just taught you, going to data and checking the variation information. Now that's very important that you look at these variations when you see a multitude of variations. Like if, for example, beauty products, eyeliner, they have like 50 to 100 different variations. How are you going to determine which one's actually selling? There is really no given answer to that, besides the fact that you need to test by every single one of them, and then you can actually have a solid answer. But In our case, we don't want to test buy everything. We want to test buy just what we think is selling, and this data is able to pull that information for us and tell us, hey, this item has sold in the last month 200 units a month. And Amazon knows that because it has some tally marking on the back end, right? So right here, we're looking, this is the variation. We can determine this. So this is the product, the current price, the history price again, history price again. Scoot it over, multitude of other things, right? You got the color, the size, the edition, how many review count. When you start to see a review count going up dramatically, that means that that item is selling because people are leaving reviews consistently. So that's a selling item. You have the ASIN, the EIN. The EIN is somewhere, that is a UPC, but for a different country. So it's still a product identifier. You then look at the total offer count of how many sellers there were, etc. Okay. Again, variations is not that important unless you're searching through variations. Next thing you can go to do is settings. Settings is something I don't want you to ever play with unless you know what you're doing. You can rearrange things, filters, etc. Not necessary. All right, let's dive into the price history. So this column here is going to represent buy box history. In simple terms, sale price. This is the sale price of the item, whether it goes up or down. You can identify it here. Listed new, used, or abused, right? Just depends on what you're going to see. This column here shows categories, just like BSR. So for example, you see that this BSR is at 9,014 in baby. This is going to show you BSR for the category. Do we need to see this very often? No, because you're already looking at RevSeller and you can see what the sales rank is. You can also look at this column and see what the sales rank is. Let's go to the third column. This third column displays ratings, review count, number of sellers on this listing. You can also filter it by day all the way to year or all. What we look at as a buyer in this company is we always want to look at the last 3 months because we're looking to carry products for a minimum of 2 to 3 months. And we want to make sure in the last 90 days that prices aren't super low or super high or whatever it may be, okay? When you pull this date range, it's going to do it to all 3 columns. All right, let's dive in. So this top column here is sales rank. I'm going to click on it. You can see the sales rank, right? So you have the sales rank, and it fluctuates up and down, right? What that represents, again, higher sales rank, slower the item selling. Lower sales rank, faster this item is selling. So anytime you see a drop, that means the item is selling. In the book industry, whenever you saw a staircase, that is an indication that that item is selling every second or every few minutes or every hour or whatever it may be. When you see their sales rank going up, that's typically like, so for example, sale, didn't sell, 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 didn't sell, sold, didn't sell, didn't sell, sold, didn't sell, sold, sold, didn't sell, didn't sell, sold, 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 didn't sell, didn't sell, sold, sold. Okay, so that, if that makes sense, great. The next thing we're going to look at is buy box. So this buy box right here represents the sale price of the item, where it's been selling for, and where Amazon thinks the buy box should be given. You can see that it disappears because either 1, they went out of stock, 2, the price wasn't at a desired price that Amazon thinks is reasonable between all box retailers. You have new. The new is the listed price. See? Okay, I'm going to bring these both up. You see that? So exactly what I said. So this price right here is the buy box, but as soon as it went up in price, Amazon removed the buy box. It maybe became suppressed listing, or it became a listing that just wasn't displayed with the real estate buy box. You can see here again, see where it disappears? That's because that new line, right? So this represents just the listed sale price of the item. This right here represents listed sale price for FBA. Okay. This right here, these squares represent the listed price for FBM. And then this is for lightning deals. If you see any lightning deals, usually the brand or the brand exclusive seller will create lightning deals when the lightning flash deal starts. That's typically once a year on Amazon. Let's see if it's ever been done before. Okay, 2 times out of the entire time they dropped it down to 69.60, but probably quickly realized that what a waste of time, or they were testing the waters. Okay, we're going to go ahead and look at buy box used. Was it ever been sold used? This is the listed sale price for the used item. Used, again, it's just a line to represent where it's been selling at for that used item. If they have like new, they're going to show that same price history. Used very good, same thing. Because again, there's there's like new. Okay, so there's new. You can list it as new, like new, used, used like new, used very good, used good, warehouse deals, list price, and there's 2 others. Okay, these all represent a percentage or a description of what it means. So I'm not going to go into too much detail, but this is so that you can understand. Here it goes. New, completely manufactured sealed. Like new, manufacturer sealed plastic, or the box might be slightly damaged. Buy box used, used. It's used. It's either been returned, or the item's not in the original manufactured sealed box, or it's not manufactured sealed. Used like new is it may be coming in a manufactured box. It still looks new, but it's definitely been opened. Used very good, maybe some highlights, maybe there's some markings, scratches, might not come in the original manufactured box. Okay, I'm not going to go into anything any further. So what we'd like to keep on here on this chart is the sales rank, the buy box. We can keep it new, third-party FBA and third-party FBM. All these other items are not necessary to be on there, because what we're looking at is the sales rank chart and the sale price of the item from the highest to the lowest price. Okay, I'm not going to go over this column just because it's unnecessary, but I'm going to show you this monthly sold. It's a new feature. I wouldn't suggest using it. And then when you click on baby category, you can see that it fluctuates through the baby category, but we already have the sales rank chart up here, so we don't need that. Okay, it's not necessary. I've tried to remove this column before. We'll get it figured out. This third column displays ratings. Is this a 5-star rating item? Is this a 4.5? Do we need it? I would say when you're first doing this for the first 6 months, a year, yeah, I'd recommend you looking at that, but you can also look at the ratings right here. It's very simple, plain and clear throughout the day. So if you're seeing an item that is rated below 4, you want to question yourself. You're going to want to look at the reviews and verify why this item is rated a 4 and why it's being returned, or what are they saying about returns, because you have to consider when we're buying the item, if it's below a 4-star rating or a 3-star rating, then we need to consider, hey, we're going to get returns too, because there's customers that aren't satisfied with this product. So you need to look at these products and verify what they're saying. If it looks like an item that's getting returned because the functionality of the item is slightly weird, or the seamstress, or the item just doesn't fit properly, or whatever the situation might be, then you're going to want to consider that when you're buying these items. Rating count just shows you how many reviews they've had. Not necessary. New offer count. This is very necessary, because this shows you how many sellers have been on the listing from all the way to yesterday, today, the month, 3 months. Okay, so over the last 3 months, you can see that there's been 2 sellers, then 1 seller sold out, then he was back in, sold out, back in, sold out. Something happened here. Either they ran out of stock for a split second, for like half a day or whatever, but they're back in, and then now there's 2 sellers again. This is good to identify a multitude of things. 1, intellectual property complaints, account deactivations, the number of sellers, which is super important because we want to know the history of the product. Used offer count, not necessary. Refurbished offer count, not necessary. Collectible offer count, not necessary. It just displays everything else like we showed, but we don't need to show it. Okay, so things I keep on this one. Rating, I'll just keep these on there. Usually I just keep this new offer count because we want to see how many offers there are. But for anyone training, I'll just keep it here. I'll remove rating count. It's not necessary. Okay, so what I do here now is look at the day, week, month, 3 months, a year. You can see this item had other sellers on there. Could be that they were getting it from an authorized distributor. It could be that they were getting it from a second distributor. They sold out and then the company stopped offering it. And I assume the brand reached out to the distributors and said, hey, here's a cease and desist letter, or stop selling to these sellers, so then they can clean up their Amazon page and keep consistency on the selling price instead of seeing it drop right here and then raise and then drop, whatever it might be, whatever the scenario might be. We can look at all. You can see that there was at one point a ton of sellers on here. Look, I mean, you got 7, 8 sellers, and then it drops to nothing, and then so forth. And it's a back and forth game, but seems like the brand keeps really good upkeep on this, or whoever the prime exclusive seller is. So if you have any questions about how to use Keepa, ask me, but this is how I would use Keepa. Now let's dive into actually using Keepa and verifying a product. I'm going to end this video and then we'll start another video.